Alright, welcome to another review of Friday Night Smackdown. Now, am I gonna say it was bad? Not that bad. Was I gonna say that it had a lot of problems? Yeah, a lot of problems. Is the non-PC way to say that it was a mediocre show? Yeah, pretty much. So, Smackdown itself was just an average show. At least they were consulting around a primordial plot because we know Monday Night Raw is going to be BS. They're going to have Cedric Alexander jobbing out to Lashley and whatever Corbin's going to do with McIntyre to force us to be some kind of dumbass multi-man match. Other than that, they gave us the same main event. They keep making main event Jey Uso like if they gave him an interesting character and actually had him have some sentimental value in the stories, possibly getting behind Jey Uso would be more fun. He's just now like the guy that they need to take the losses for majority of the storylines involving Roman Reigns. It's sad. This is like the 15th time they let Jey Uso main event and lose clean. Over the benefactor, the babyface, like Jey Uso will never be over that sentiment that he's gonna be pushed more than a mid Carter because he doesn't change a majority of his look. And the last time he actually looked like a guy that was on a mission was when he was feuding with Roman. And it's sad because they're gonna keep. And the saddest thing is, you don't have to make the guy contending for the title wrestle weekly if you have nothing planned. And if you're gonna let him face off against the same guy, it gotta be something on the line. There gotta be a different stipulation. It gotta be something more interesting. But this time it was a stupid street fight. Other than a small rant over with the main event, it had Edge cutting another good promo. Of course, once again calling himself the ultimate opportunist, showing over footage from last week on SmackDown, making it into a triple threat match. Oh God. He called himself that it had the Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan aspiring to be him, even though he's the legend, he's the ultimate opportunist, he is the radar superstar. Cool promo, always looking vicious, but I feel like this isn't the best sentiment as well for a comeback story because it just shows Edge like the development that Daniel Bryan's a whining bitch. He loses twice on pay per view, twice like a few times to Cesaro. Other than he picked up some dumb wins against Jey Uso, then he gets a title shot. Imagine if you have to get behind this, and this is supposed to be a big moment over for Mania. Nothing feels like a big moment over for Mania. That sounds bad to say, but you know it's true. And if you find that it's not true, you're lying to yourself because you know, like in a few months, you're probably gonna forget what was even the middle of the card for a 2-day event for 3 total hours each. That is too much wrestling to consume over a time frame of over 48 hours, man. And you're lying to yourself that you think you're gonna at least enjoy day one. Oh man. They kept having these consistent consultants with Adam Pearce backstage. Like it was over the same centerpiece of Adam Pearce going to the bathroom. Edge is trying to consult why it couldn't be just a one-on-one match involving Roman and Edge for the world title at the main event. And it's like, what's the benefactor other than like Daniel's there? He deserves it. He worked hard. You give him disadvantage. He agreed to the circumstances that would have been with no other complaints before the match even was scheduled. And he got 2 title shots over it. Edge was just the enforcer. And the other one that he was allowed a title shot on the spot. So anybody else could have got that disadvantage. That's the dumbest reason. And the storytelling is so vigilant to just force Daniel Bryan to get a title shot. And then they had, like, after the promo, Gable and Otis. It's the same tag team match that we've been getting for the last 4 weeks. Gable, Otis, Ziggler, Rude, because they're both heels. They have to face the Street Profits and the Mysterios. All I know is Dominic gets a bit better fluidly over in the ring. Good back and forth, and then they try to trade it over with Ziggler, sometimes going a back and forth with Mysterio or Dominic. and you get decent chain wrestling, but it's the same wrestled, then Top Gun Hello Spot, then double suicide drive. It ends with finally Ziggler picking up the victory. Actually, Otis picked up the victory over a middle rope splash. So that was technically it. If you guys are suspecting anything interesting, over the last couple times these guys have been having 8-man tags, 6-man tags, 4-corner tag team matches, and it subjugates to no story over future title opportunities. These guys are just wrestling each other just for the sake of wrestling, when nothing to feel like it's on the line, or at least a storyline to even concede any notion to get behind these guys even earning a title shot. And what's even the character of Ziggler and Rude? Like, oh, they're the guard dogs of wrestling. No, it's that you guys are permanently mid-carders as singles competitors. So it's obvious that making you guys a tag team is the perfect way. And I thought Rude had more potential because he actually looks like a star. And he showed it over on TNA. He was not a bad world champion. He played a good douchebag as the world champion. It was the longest reigning one. You suspect a guy like that can carry himself over in a promo. Looks pretty good with a good physique. He can carry himself on the mic and he can wrestle a nice match. You think he would at least hold the Universal title because it's not that prestigious and they can give him more TV time to actually spread out more of his character. Other than him just having the only character that he has is glorious. Like, that's it. Nobody else can give me other character depth on Rude than that. Then they had Seth Rollins and Cesaro having an interview. And this is technically the same crap you heard possibly off that feud that Rollins had with Kevin Owens when he came to Kevin. I have a track record at Mania. Like, what? You beat Triple H and you cashed in at the main event. That's technically all people remember you for. Oh, you won the IC title at the match opener. You're not a main eventer. Like, all those things that you brung up, you forced yourself over to the main event because of a cash in. And you didn't even main event the time you beat Triple H. Rollins, you suck. He comes around wearing this weirdo bleach tie-dye suit, pink garbage. Me and Cinnamon roasted over that stuff that looks like he wears whenever his pet parakeet dies in the cemetery. Oh man, it looks so bad. And it comes with like Andre getting slammed by Hogan. Cesaro closed the segment with saying that he'll beat him and he can embarrass him. Like, Cesaro is so bland over his promo, and I was like, oh, I'm not trying to like kiss his ass. I get that he's physically talented. The guy could be a great singles mid-carder. That's all I can say. You can see why he's not pushed over, and he needed guys like Dutch Mantel, Tyson Kidd, Sheamus, because the guy can't talk. When it comes to Cesaro, physically, he's an impressive guy physically to watch in the ring, but he's just not that compelling to get behind. And you suspect to have a guy like Sheamus, like a guy that's been in the main event scene before, that he tagged with, what etch him more of a character, more of a personality, that you can use him more for segments where he'll actually be a singles guy again. And he's just boring still. So they ended over with, instead of like swinging him, he literally said, take a swing. He didn't even funnily do the swing because that'll make Rollins more of a jobber to forcibly lose at Mania, like he did the last year. And it just ended with Rollins walking over as a coward. I'm not. And they had Corey Graves building over the factor that two mid-carders are wrestling each other. And there would be like more impressive stakes on the line if these guys wrestled. Like, isn't like Rollins a former world champion? How come like no title implications are upset? Because the storyline is just that, oh, Cesaro isn't that accomplished as Seth Rollins. That's a terrible story. If it affects Cesaro some way in his life, I can understand. Even though the storyline would kind of hit harder if it was somebody like Roman Reigns, somebody that, have a relationship with him and actually been in a team with him. But back, we had Shayna Baszler against Natalya. Natalya won off a small package over a few seconds, and then it came over a small attack that it ended with all the tag teams coming in the ring. It was Lana and Naomi from Raw, and then Tamina started poorly super kicking everybody with Riot Squad coming in. It seems like there's going to be a multi-women tag team title match. Oh my god! I don't want to watch it. You don't want to know how badly I don't want to watch that. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful anymore. Nobody wants to watch that. Dude, over what they did over these last couple weeks, subjugating the Riot Squad to get outwardly squashed. I mean, the last time that anybody even had any optimism that the women's tag division would even be that relevant is because at least the Iconics had decent chemistry. They could be entertaining. Billy Kay, it could be used for comical segments, and Peyton Royce is hot and it could be in the same level as Billy Kay. Like, two women that have a personality and can subjugate the roster, but they come around doing squash matches and then they just lose them out of nowhere. Like, they have no direction. And they forcibly add more titles for stuff they have no ideas for. Like, if you think they actually have more creative ideas, other than that fun stuff they did with Drake Maverick, until they bring him back to NXT, it's like, what? The poor guy came from literally having the funnest segments on Raw from managing Authors of Pain, and now he's back over with NXT, and I think he's doing some dumb crap still with Killian Dane. Like, you don't waste entertaining talent like that. And then you make R-Truth like a 47-time title. That's not the 24/7 championship. That's the R-Truth championship. And it's get less funny every time because it feels like R-Truth is gonna just win it any day, and you have no interest over creative. That you have like double-digit writers, and you still can't think. Oh, but we have these guys that possibly have a look or just doesn't have that much TV time. So let's not write them over to something. We have to still rely on guys that we still have since the mid 2000s or the 2010s to have any prevalent garner viewers. Like R-Truth is not that funny. He was funnier back in 2019 when he was doing those funner segments with Brock Lesnar, and he actually had some creative ways to get the 24/7 title. But that was an earlier stint. Now he gets it every freaking day, so there's no fun factor, there's no unpredictability factor, and it's always the same under 10 guys who win it anyway. So it's not fun. I think the last time the 24/7 title was on somebody important was Shelton Benjamin. Then we had Sami Zayn unveiling his trailer for his documentary, bringing YouTube star what? We came from Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Tyson, Mayweather. What? Even that shitty time in 2009 when we brought out of their prime celebrities in 2009 to be the guest co-host era. The guest co-host era. I think we also had David. No, not David Bowie. I was supposed to say David. But that guy. But David Hasselhoff on an episode of Raw be the special guest GM, and that is technically more star power in the calendar year than we technically have with Logan Paul. And he was averagely bland. The documentary was fine. I know Kevin Owens was gonna come stun him anyway. Jake Paul didn't even do anything except, whoa, I don't know why this fat guy and this skinny guy is wrestling there, fighting there, dude. I don't even know why the fat guy's doing the stunner. And he's saying he stuns the world. The promo was so goddamn bland. I don't even know the involvement of either wrestling each other, other than Kevin Owens is mildly annoyed with Sami Zayn's documentary crap. If that's the subsequent amount of storytelling, even though these guys literally had a better story 6 years ago, 5 years ago, they are really scraping the bottom of the barrel to force a 2-day event for stuff they could have just let be at least 4 hours long. Dude, the conspiracy thing was alright. I like the whole netted thing where he's thinking that the referees screwing him over. The referees are screwing him over, going over the IC title controversy. It's stuff like this that he could have just made segments. Though that you didn't need a red carpet. I understand you needed Logan Paul to garner They kept bringing, 23. You just need Sami Zayn get stunned by 23 million people? Like, you really think SmackDown is gonna, like, little fat weirdo kids that watch Logan Paul's stupid ass videos are gonna waste their energy to watch fake fighting over some fat dude with a bad haircut coming around giving a Stone Cold Stunner to some skinny ginger neckbeard? Like, dude, you're really wasting your time. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. That's literally summing it up. So, we also had Bianca Belair defeating Carmella. Like, Carmella, there was also a backstage segment where Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax was walking out with Reginald just walking away like nothing happened. Obviously showing that, oh, I'm with a fatter chick. I'm joking. And like I think I have a disagreement. Carmella's not gonna with the technical work rate productions. Many other people, like, I barely even see people bring this up because Carmella doesn't look like a star in my opinion. She has a she has a camel face with a good figure. She has a good figure. She I like the entrance. Seems to have some semblance more personality than her previous like it looks sexual, looks more expressive. She's showing more energy. I like it. She's just not that hot in my opinion, and that's okay. At least she's making a definitive look, but it just feels like, oh wow, they're just making her a mid carder by default, all because she lost to Sasha Banks a few times. And like, you have no story over in the matter. Like, why isn't she like trying to get Reginald back or something and make a story out of that? Add stories over garnering some semblance of screen time for these people. Like, are you just gonna force them over the roster just to wrestle and that's it? And they also have Bianca Belair doing her. Like, I'm just here to show that I'm the best she asked, and so she can stop with her BS. She hits the KOD on Carmella. That was technically it. It was a commercial break irrelevant match. There was small talk. Banks come around trying to jump Bianca like last week. This time Bianca catches her, and Sasha just holds the title up even though she was about to do a sneak attack. So they're garnering over like Sasha being the veteran heel, always consistently calling her a rookie. Oh my god, it's just so forceful that it's gonna be the main event for such a mid card feud, man. This is like NXT semi main event garbage. Underwhelming stability over for the feud. It didn't even feel like a former SmackDown Women's Champion like Carmella is so blandly like overlooked over the centerpiece that, oh, I used to feud for that. And Bianca's just having a match to just have a match. And the story just feels so like there's nothing else to have other than Bianca just, and they want this in the main event. There's like lack of any star power energy in this, and I don't want to watch it. I mean, I know the match is going to be good, but this shouldn't be the last thing I want to see after WrestleMania, other than possibly they're going to force over Sasha retaining and do like, they're going to just pull a Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. The SmackDown Women's title is already irrelevant. You can be like, oh, Sasha and Becky Lynch just need to hold it. No, it sucks. Next up, we have, of course, the backstage segment involving Apollo Crews. Barely any centerpiece. All I saw was a Big E and a Snickers commercial, and Apollo bringing up, over our royalty, it won't be like how it was at Fastlane. We will have a Nigerian strum fight for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. And I don't mind this. I don't mind the call out over for a match stipulation. The heel always does that. Uh, Actually, this was actually one of the biggest matches I was anticipating over at Fastlane, but they could have just pulled it over and saved it over for Mania. Because if you're gonna do something like that, I understand they want to garner some viewership, so they put the IC title up at Mania. But you know, this is the second mid card title to have a rematch that already had like Sheamus pinned Riddle last Monday, and then he earns a title shot at Mania. Okay, so it's a rematch. That devalues the functionality of that Sheamus is going to even win. And then you have Big E. It looks like they were trying to do a double shoulders finish pinfall. Like, that's been done before plenty times. And it just feels like they're lazily advertising pretty much one of the more violent feuds to be interesting on SmackDown. And Apollo's actually one of the growing characters. And I'm just not liking the direction that you gave Apollo this lesser screen time. He should be having his own private room. Like, go balls to the wall with it. You guys are staying in one setting. I'm sure you guys can afford some props. We had also Paul Heyman trying to persuade Adam Pearce. Why isn't Roman Reigns and Edge more of a priority than Daniel Bryan? And then they had Daniel Bryan beat Jey Uso. Like, did you guys expect something? I'm sorry. I'm trying to think that you think there's going to be a bigger picture, forcibly, if Jey Uso wins to begin with. Like, they're not going to have Daniel lose clean and actually try to, have any obstacles over his wake, over the push. Because Jey, like, it's the same match. Like, the coolest thing was a suplex from the steel steps, hits with the chain, counters over with the yes lock. Daniel did just tap him out anyway. Like, there was there's like no organicness in this entire Daniel Bryan just gets pushed over for the world title. It's so dumb. Then Edge, a running knee over to Edge, and then Roman Reigns tries to come over. Daniel Bryan beats his ass. Daniel Bryan finally got a one up on the Rated R Superstar and the Tribal Chief, and then you score over the yes lock. Like, why are you trying to force over Daniel Bryan being a badass now? And speaking of over in the main event, what would this even benefit over for Jey Uso other than he's just an obstacle? Imagine that selling over the factor of the match. Like, there was no reason why Daniel had to wrestle if you so want to advertise the show. You could have just made a contract signing segment. We have a week until Mania. Oh my god, we have a week until Mania. Oh, goodness. You see why people are already making like disappointing videos. I also made my video over it before discussing the direction that they're already gonna force feed Bryan over to Mania because if they want to supplicate like a underdog story, because they want to like get Daniel Bryan to have this BS like comeback story that nobody asked for. Like, I really don't care about Daniel Bryan. And I don't care if Daniel Bryan doesn't care about me or his stupid ass fat neckbeard fans that are possibly like 16 still masturbating to dude jerking off because they just don't get it. Because over the semblance of what they guess is fun for them to watch, just know WWE's relevance is dying because of it. And other than that, that's all I got for this review of SmackDown. Really mediocre review. I think the only average parts of the show were, I guess, Apollo Crews' accent. I want to say that for sure. A bit of the red carpet segment because I thought the vignette was actually pretty fun. Other than the predictability of Kevin Owens coming out and jumping him because I know that was just to further the feud. And that's technically it. The show was mediocre. If you guys think differently, comment down in the comment section below. That's all I have over in the DST. Thank you again. Let's try to stay to 50 this time. And thanks for watching.